Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see you today. My name is Dustin Cormier. Welcome to How to Rock Astrology. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about what it's like when you have the Sun in Pisces and Mars in the 12th sign from Pisces, that being Aquarius. Pisces Sun, Mars and Aquarius. If you want to hear a little bit more about Mars and Aquarius, you can check out the Mars and Aquarius video at the start of this playlist. Oftentimes I talk about Mars and Aquarius, and then I talk about the Sun in this sign. I've written a little condensed figure for the vibe of this sign combination in a lot of ways. I think it's a consolidating line. What it is Sun in Pisces, Mars in Aquarius is idealistic about working earnestly with the right people for the right reasons. Sun in Pisces is quite idealistic in general. They have an idea of the perfect way of things. It's kind of like after seeing a bunch of patterns that are lining up in the same way, Pisces begins to see the nature of the pattern and where the pattern is going and how it continues, especially at like an aesthetic art level. So Sun and Pisces people being ruled by Jupiter often are just pulled to experience their optimistic, vague, abstract, subtle sense of something that is pulling them towards an interest that they feel is the ideal way to express what they're trying to do. Pisces is the 12th house from Aries, which is where the Sun is exalted. The Sun here is finding out about what it is that I am, what it is that in my past lives and in my present life and what's to come and who I'm trying to be. What it is about all of this experience that is trying to pull me into my most delightful and authentic self-expression. Aries is the self-expression. Pisces is the pathways of past life, genetic data, expression, karma, pathways, neuropaths. So Pisces tends to do a lot of faithful discovering and uncovering of what feels comfortable to the self. That's what's leading towards the exaltation point of Aries for the Sun. So this is a Pisces that can be idealistic because they think that they see and look for omens and clues and familiarity of comfort, of value, and ideals with people that they work with, depending on where, other things are in the chart. Pisces tends to actually work okay with people. Pisces is less like soft than people in the West tend to describe it as. They tend to describe it as this like person who is supposed to serve the world, has the world on their shoulders, is trying to save the animals, is trying to work hard at some crappy job so that they can do something simple that isn't too hard on them, so that they can go and save the animals and all these sorts of things. People really have this sort of extreme idea of Pisces Sun. Whereas the Sun is actually the second best position in terms of strength possible by sign for the Sun. And the Sun is our masculine yang expression. It's in a reflective water sign, and that's where the sort of feminine, like quieting qualities tend to be extracted from. But, how many Scorpios and how many Cancer people and how many Pisces people who have you met who can actually be funny and off the wall and squirrely and energetic, particularly Pisces. In the Vedic conception, Pisces is this noble warrior in a certain way who's being uplifted by Jupiter. Now, I'm really deeply considered. My bent is towards tropical Vedic astrology. Tropical meaning that I use Western measurements, but I do study the Vedic philosophy. Like, I don't turn the signs back 24 degrees like sidereal astrologers do. But I do think that there is something deeply more primary to the fact that Jupiter rules Pisces. I think that's more primary than Neptune. Jupiter is considered to be one of the 6 chakras, being the second chakra, right? You'll notice that Capricorn and Aquarius are Saturn, both ruled by Saturn anciently. It's the first chakra. Then to the left of Aquarius, to the left of Capricorn is Sagittarius. To the right of Aquarius is Pisces. Pisces is anciently ruled by Jupiter, and that's the second chakra, the sacral chakra, the enjoyment of the self, and whether or not you feel guilt or heaviness due to expressing the joy that comes from within yourself. That's what Jupiter's all about. Guru, the laughing, lucky planet. People with an emphasis of Jupiter in their charts are lucky because they just happen to fall into circumstances that relate to who they are. And it's your nature. If you can laugh at your nature and express it at that true level, at the Jupiter second chakra level, there's nothing to feel guilty about, and you can just enjoy the what life has to offer at that self-enjoyment level. Venus is more about fulfillment for the sake of sacrifice and sharing in a different way of the heart. Jupiter is about just enjoying what is pouring forth from the bottom of you, the personality that you are, the human, laughing at the humanness that you are. And the sun in Pisces is geared towards doing these things, enjoying these things. And this can make up for a lot of the dry toughness that comes out of a lot of people with Mars and Aquarius. This is a good combination, I think. There's lots to be said about the fact that the sun in Pisces here, my whole point I was trying to build up is that the sun in Pisces is idealistic. It just kind of flies by the seat of its pants towards what it thinks will ultimately feel like it can satisfy it, because it's learning to look inside of itself and to even meditate and to have moments where they just dissociate with hard, intense moments so that they can digest when they're being pushed around by things. Pisces can get frozen in kind of like an observation mode where they drift so that people are like, what, don't you hear me? And it's like, sorry, man. Like, you can almost see that they look like they're digesting trauma right now. I'm digesting trauma right now. That's why I'm not speaking right away. If you'll just give me a friggin' moment. They can have, they're not, they don't get angry about it. Although this Pisces might, because of the Mars and Aquarius, they don't necessarily get angry. Pisces just tends to, you can just see that they have a certain way of digesting experience. And it's not like Virgo. Virgo is more of what I'm talking about, and it looks like, and they're actually struggling with it. Whereas Pisces has this sort of way of just like, whoa, like as if they're on a wave and they're just trying to catch this wave. But what's funny is that, a lot of the times they know what their own nature is like. And what they're actually doing is basically saying like, so, you're kind of causing some waves for me here. I can get I'm not that bothered by it. Like Pisces will just, okay, not my monkey, not my circus. I'm not going to deal with somebody who's pushing me around too much. And they just, they'll kind of like do whatever you want, or they'll just disappear from your radar if you are a person who's super pushy with Pisces. They know what they like. They know who they like to be with. They know how they like to work. And sometimes them just doing this reaction to being pushed around is them kind of being like, hey, I'm not like, I can't really be nailed down by you. I'm a warrior towards what feels good inside of me. Because I know that what is good to the self in one is good to the self in all. It's how Pisces just, that transcendental consciousness can permeate them so that they can see that everything is kind of the same self, and therefore I'm allowed. The universe works better if it works from the natural operative of the design of the entity which is doing the doing. Pisces knows this. It's ergonomics, man. If the thing is supposed to unfold this way, then let it unfold this way. And that's why Pisces can be kind of like fickle about like being told what to do, or not necessarily being told what to do, as long as they're in alignment with a nobility principle. And this stuff, because they're ruled by Jupiter. Sun and Jupiter are best friends. Pisces is way less meek than everyone thinks. Sorry to out the Pisces and kind of like show the, sorry to break your unconscious and, strong game that you play with the world, where the whole world sees Pisces as being this very soft, meek person, and Pisces is actually on the inside. It's just like, no, I really just don't have time for you. So I know where I'm being led by, and it's a strength because they can stand up in this mysterious, strong presentation way that gets them. It makes them willing and more willing to sacrifice once they connect to something that's a cultural, spiritual value, a philosophical bent, which they agree with, that feels satisfying for them to be a part of. They'll drift and disappear until they find that, and then they can sacrifice willingly for this thing that's bigger than them. All of this is to say that Pisces here will do the disappearing act when it's useful, but there's a Mars in Aquarius here that is trying to get a grip on the social collective, the vibrations and moments of the environment around it, and kind of being able to direct a little bit. This is a person who can kind of be a behind-the-scenes director of things, can kind of like, they're very interested in like the Mars is coming to the 12th house of the sun here, the 12th sign of the sun. Pisces is the first, is where the sun is. And in Vedic astrology, you can make a chart out of any point or any planet. So if you consider the sun to be the lagna, the ascendant, you can make the sun chart where you consider the positions of the planets from the sign that the sun is in. In this case, Mars is in the 12th sign from the sun sign here. And so the Mars gets a grip by feeling the background of its own psyche as well as the psyche of others. And it puts a lot of effort into finding ease in a shared mutual bleshing of unconscious aesthetics. A shared mutual bleshing of unconscious aesthetics. Something as simple as a bunch of people hanging out. This person expresses this type of personality, and everyone can kind of like, oh, that's Dave. And then this person's this excitable personality, and sometimes it's a little annoying to everybody, but hey, that's Susie. And Pisces is looking at all these things and be like, okay, I could see it all. And they learn the byways of people and what people are moving towards, their motivations. So you might have this subtle sense of everybody's place and of your place. And you might have a way of knowing how to help those people mutually, support them and serve them, and then have them act as an instigator for the people who you're acting for. Usually Pisces is a bit of a transmitter, an agent between things before they can get a name as whatever it is that they're doing. Because the authority of Jupiter in Pisces doesn't come from its own force like it does in Aries, although this can be a forceful person. But it comes from Jupiter's buoyant knowledge of what's best for this group or this system or this project that's being built on it for the future. Once they know what's kind of like the authority in that regard, then they can act as the messenger for it with their lovely, they don't seem like they're coming from authority. It's just, hey, hi there, my name's, so-and-so, and I'm, an instigator for this group who's doing this. And boy, we're excited to tell you about what's going on over here with this thing. And So the Mars in Aquarius here is getting a grip and using its ability to direct people. Most Mars in Aquarius can be kind of pushy because Mars is being refined by Saturn and put in a willful, fixed air sign, cerebral. So there's mental enjoyment and mental. They are looking, again, they're looking for a group of unconsciously supportive mental aesthetics. That's a really great way to say what I'm trying to get at here. It just keeps coming through in that way. They're looking for people with shared unconscious aesthetics and psychological dynamics. Once they find that, they can use the power of supporting their friends and laughing with their friends and also getting hyped about doing certain things with certain people, that they can network to others very well. And ultimately, they can be pushy. They can push the agenda of the collective thing. Mars push the agenda of Aquarius, some kind of collective, some kind of group effort, some kind of intelligent ploy that has a conscripted sense, feeling the optimism and juicy loveliness of Pisces, the noble, quiet, like this is what we're doing. And they're very cordial like this and sort of flick of the wrist. But we're going to get it done. And I have the resources here. I have my supervisor here is telling me that these people need to go over here and this needs to happen here. It is matter of fact. There's a directive, there's a director, and all things aside, I'm really excited now. So this is what needs to happen here, is that this needs to go here. Like there's an act of optimism, but there is a hard line. Mars and Aquarius, which again, if you watch the Mars and Aquarius video, it's got a good grip. It gets a good grip on its own capacity to organize the data of any situation, whether it's your own body. This could be a tantric person, and this can make for a good yogi. Someone whose animal power is standing above itself through the cerebral grip of the mind so that they can push through their will, the Aquarian fixed air will, to really explore the body and explore the mind. They can explore yoga, and they can explore many of the 12th house genetic, aesthetic, neuropaths, which Pisces is so often looking to move through in its basic motivation in life. It's to experience the background genetic tapestry of the unconscious in order that they can pluck from it gold of self-knowledge that they can apply readily in the world. That's going to always be there because it's self-knowledge. It's an aspect of myself that's been there when I was 3 years old and I was in this. I was 8 years old and I was in this. I was 16 years old and I was in this. And this path, this neuropath in my genetic ancestry has poured through with strength and integrity, and I can take advantage of it. They can do this in themselves, and they can do it with others. And so that's why there's a deep friendship tone in this person. It's like friendship towards the purposes of working hard and also enjoying life, but doing something creative and constructive for others, for groups, for the world, and looking well done by it. Putting themselves to some kind of scientific task of something amazing and wonderful just for its own sake with a bunch of people. And it's about the people. There's a friendship bent here. It's a sentimental person who probably deeply enjoys having done this work with this person or this life experience with this person related to an archetype, an Aquarian group, a field, whatever it might be, a skill, something that you do with that person. And the Jupiter essence of Pisces brings the sentimentality and the enjoyment just simply for the sake of being friends and working together with someone else. Feeling that you have found, throughout all these experiences with all these people, you have found those special friends who have an unconscious, positive, aesthetic, unconscious wire work that just has always worked. This best friend of mine and I have just always been two peas in a pod. These are experiences that you're probably looking for, and it reflects in your love life too. You probably want a lover who can be an anchor at a practical and functional level, because Mars is looking for that, looking for someone who they can say, all jokes aside, I'm Mr. Nice and I can schmooze and I can be flake or whatever, I can move around, but I need to go, I need something done. I need us to work hard to get enough money to buy this so that we can do this, and that means that I need to work this many hours. I'm not going to be able to come home at 6 p.m. each night and see you for dinner every night because I got to work hard to do this, but if you're with me on it, we can work together to get it so we can get this better thing. The Mars in Aquarius looks for those kinds of discerning, disciplinary things to push themselves through to get that resource, to get that network connection, to get that job title, so a life can go from easy street from there. You're going to look for a lover who can enjoy that pushiness in you. There's a pushiness in Mars and Aquarius. You can look at that in whatever ways you like. The ruler of the Sun here, which is Jupiter, is neutral to the ruler of Mars here, which is Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn are neutral. They're not friends and they're not enemies. So that's cool. What this kind of just basically says is that Mars and Aquarius' pushiness doesn't always blesh or move well with what Pisces is trying to project and embody as a nice, really helpful, soft, empathic, healing, joyful personality. Mars and Aquarius has to come through at some point and say, we're talking and we're really all being nice, but like at some point, someone's got to get some shit done here, and I feel like we really have to do this. At any job, Aquarius is king, because as they say, what is it? You need to be able to direct people and be hard in any sort of situation that involves lots of people, because as the phrase goes, every good company needs an asshole, because assholes get shit done. Now, you don't need to be an asshole about it, but consider that consciousness. It doesn't hurt to stand up for yourself, and especially when you do know that you have a good idea that ought to be implemented and put out to people. Although you might actually just be somebody who just prefers to delegate, get somebody to be that loud vocal mouthpiece. The boss says that we got to do this, or get somebody else to do the hard massaging, and you do the soft massage that transmits the message for them to transmit to others. This is the kind of thing that you could probably be very good at. And when it comes to being a love partner, you are probably somebody who is kind of funky, kind of kinky. Can you apply this willful Mars energy to the empathic, sensitive, giddy, enjoyable Pisces Sun? That kind of kooky Pisces that can get an erotic kink just out of doing something silly and abstract and absurd in a Neptunian vague ocean of a moment of Neptunian intuitive dissolving, where I don't know if it's like you're playing a role. Role-playing fantasies can be fun. You don't know what you would say in this situation, so it's just like, I don't know what I'm doing here, and that kind of like wildness comes through the Pisces Sun in that wet, passionate way, and there's always a grip behind that. Because when I'm Scorpio, Sun and Mars, and that's both water signs. It's very wet, very passionate. It's fixed, so I can do the artful thing, but I don't think that I would be as technically masterful and technical as a Mars and Aquarius person, because they are inclined to dampen their excitement and enthusiasm and passion for the sake of holding the role of the cool person, keeping a cool tool, making sure that you are getting your pleasure in the right time at the right amount of space in between intervals. This kind of like very active application. I just want to check something here real quick. Yeah, I'm good. So there's a pushiness in the Mars and Aquarius, as I said. The Mars is attached to fixed, willful, and you want to be able to do that while also enjoying the ecstasy of Jupiter. the Jupiter of ecstasy, the Jupiterian ecstasy of Jupiter, and the hard rationale of Saturn, both meet in the middle, which is like human limits, which is like the dance of Jupiter and Saturn are very interesting. Here we can see it expressed in your personality as being wanting to let go through Jupiter, and finding there's some times where you're going to let go. You're going to basically build a rail and you're going to break the rule and dance around it, if that makes sense. You're going to have you'll learn the ways of your lover, you'll learn what they like, you'll learn their kinks, you'll learn their fascinations, and you'll apply yourself to them in that sure Mars and Aquarius way. I know my lover likes it when I put my hand on this one particular point, and I lick them, and I lick up to their neck, and I get right just under their ear, and they do that little tingle. Ooh, but I'm not going to give you too much of it. It's the Mars and Aquarius that, like the Pisces wants to feel the deliciousness, and if the Mars and Aquarius there, pure Pisces, just all the deliciousness all the time. And don't worry about the silence in between the music. We'll just fill it all up with music. Mars and Aquarius says, the silences are just as important. The tease, the coolness, the grip, almost like there's like a fun capability of you playing with the ego factor there, being the top or the bottom or both or whatever is your thing. There's much cerebral tantra available and kind of BDSM vibes available to this type of person, as long as the Pisces ultimately feels the chord of a soul connection and an aesthetic friend harmony connection where we're both just obviously like this and we would like to do this kind of thing. There's a lot of mutuality that needs to happen in order for the Mars and Aquarius to kind of spin around in the rocket ship in the Uranian way that it kind of wants to. Although it's laid back. The Pisces here is laid back but up front, willing to talk, talkable. Hi, how's it going? Yes, I'm capable of speaking, capable of moving in a social strata and holding my own and not just sinking into the background. You know, that there is a firm front there, but it's also a reserved, capable person who's not trying to be cool, but you know, has the Aquarian sunglasses, just like trying to say much by only saying what needs to be said in every moment. Keeping the jawline back, cool, you know? There is that application to this Piscean fascination and imagination and niceness that's still ultimately there. But they want to look cool and they want to look respectable. They don't want to look loose in it. They want people to rely on them. They want to be relied upon for keeping a cool tool and doing the directive and making it look suave, but still functional, and making sure, like, you know, like the Pisces, who's so much into the grace of their act and looking good. They can be a great salesman who knows how to sell on a dime, but when and they can do anything and be nice, and they focus on the psychology and personality between things. But ultimately, when it comes to the part where they have to make the sale and push and say, well, this is how much the Chevy Honda thing is at this amount, and believe me, it's worth it for this reason and this reason, and to push. Because Pisces likes to be open, and what do you like, and to really find that. Pisces will find that, but the Mars and Aquarius can come in and say, ultimately, my job is to sell you what you want, and if this is what you want, I can get you what you really want for the best best price, best sale. You know, there's a Martian grip due to Saturn kind of reigning in the animal impulse energy of this person, which is very much there from the wet, loose, liquidy Pisces Sun. It's a powerful personality combination. I think this is one of the strongest available in all the combinations. I would say I put it in there in the top 10 in terms of strength, at least for Pisces suns. I mean, Mars in Capricorn is ideally the best, and Aries is the best place for the sun. But anyway, this is a good combination. The Mars in Aquarius makes up for a lot of the shyness and meekness that Jupiter, that Pisces can often display. Gets them a quick grasp on their own muscular ability to to direct things and to have their own unique contribution in entrepreneurial venture to add to any group project. Now, I always love breaking things down in my own little way, but at some point we have to keep rocking and rolling here. I got more videos to do. Before we end, I'd like to do a little reading from Erotic Astrology by Phyllis Vega. I always do my own little astrological lessons in these videos. Here, in this part of these episodes, we're going to get down to the erotic nitty-gritty. See what Mars and Aquarius adds to the erotic nature of Pisces. To get a bit more of a visceral glimpse into the nature of Sun and Mars in this combination. So this is Sun in Pisces, Mars in Aquarius. In intimate relationships, you are as loving, caring, and considerate as other Pisces. But Aquarius makes you more independent than the typical solar fish. Your ideal mate is one who understands your need for alone time to explore your personal interests and then to come back into the relationship enriched. You expect more than sex and romance from a love relationship. You're really seeking a psychic link that transcends differences in personality and temperament. The idea of I guess I should speak to that. It's that psychic link that transcends differences in personality and temperament. There's some subtle sense that it's that Aquarian sense that no matter what all the personalities are coming through, we are still, for some reason, compelled to come together for this purpose that we're both finding, this soul meaning that we're both seeing, not only in the Piscean sense of the cultural philosophy of what we're both going for, but also in the Aquarian sense of sharing in the enjoyment of this particular thing that we're both building on. Now, the idea of exploring outrageous sexual fantasies does appeal to you. You'll dress up for role-playing games or experiment with different positions as long as your bed partner is agreeable. You can see how this would make some delicious, funky, skunky, silly kinkiness from the Pisces' willingness to just do some funky things. It's the body. They have such an awareness of the body, of their own genetic code and things that are kind of gross and kind of like way out there, combined with the mental cerebral fixation of Mars and Aquarius applied to a mental, willful energy, can make for some very experimental and interesting things. If you ever want to tell me what kind of hijinks you get into, just feel free to let me know. I'm kind of turned on by it. So, that was Pisces Sun with Mars in the sign of Aquarius. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know how it worked out. Let me know if you think that this is all kind of hitting notes for you, because I appreciate the feedback anyway, and I want to know how these videos are going for you guys. And if you're digging it, feel free to drop me a like, and feel free to subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, because lately, right now, it's COVID times. It's December 2020. I'm spending a lot of time inside my own little sphere, crunching the numbers and making lots of videos about cool stuff. If you feel like coming for the ride, I'll be here. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm Dustin Cormier for How to Rock Astrology. See you guys on the flip side. Thank you so much for watching.